What's up, guys? It's your sister, Jessie Woo. Welcome back to Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, y'all. This is a very special week. This is the finale week for Reasonable Doubt, our favorite show, brought to us by Hulu and Onyx Collective. I want to thank both Hulu and Onyx Collective for partnering with me to bring you guys Beyond a Reasonable Doubt every Thursday following the episode, y'all. Today was the finale. Like, it is insane that we've been on this journey together for season 2 and we made it to the finale. Now, I know my background seems a little different. I'm actually at work. I'm trying to get my acting reel up, child. So Raamla could give me a little role. Okay, they might need a little, a little law clerk, a little courtroom clerk or something. I could get courtroom clerk next season because, listen, we are all pulling for season 3. Matter of fact, just go ahead and start shooting season 3. Okay, just go ahead and start shooting season 3. We're ready for it. That's what the people want. Don't waste our time. I'm ready to see what's next. So many things happened in this finale episode. What was y'all's favorite part of the finale? There's so much going on. Like, first of all, I didn't expect for us to reach the verdict that fast into the finale. But I was like, okay, we're gonna reach the verdict that fast. What else is gonna happen? We find out so many times, so many things. Obviously Chanel doesn't get all the way off, but she gets off with probation, especially after we find out that it was her daughter. Didn't I say that in one of my after shows? Didn't I say that? Did I not say that? I thought it was one of the kids, and rightfully so. Listen, we are not here for DV, obviously, but come on now. If Chanel was your mama, okay, like the way Raamla and the team finally let us see exactly what happened and took us in, and we finally see the entire picture, we understand, right? Then we find out that Miss Prosecutor has her own battles with DV. My goodness, Then we have Corey Cash Cochran getting clemency for his client. Then we have Jackson Lewis losing the child. There's so much that happens in this episode. Drop down in the comments and let me know what your guys' favorite moment of the episode was. I think for me, it was the closing arguments. It was Corey Cash coming in and saying, listen, do not punish another DV victim for their silence. Like, yes. I mean, it was so good. And we see him at the end finding a new love interest. See, I already see what the setup is for season 3. I'm so excited. Y'all, we have so many guests coming through tonight. Without further ado, while you guys drop down in the chat and let me know what your favorite parts of tonight's episode are. I have 2 guests coming in right now that we are very familiar with. They are no strangers to Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. We have the show's creator, executive producer, writer extraordinaire, Raamla Mohammad.
I love that. I love it.
Oh my God, I have so. We're gonna get into it. Y'all make some noise for the one, the only. Okay, joining her, we have none other than Eboni Phillips, Miss Kandi. I keep a bag Burruss. Yes, Lord.
These intros are amazing.
Thank you.
Are you freestyling this, or did you plan what you was gonna say ahead of time?
No, honestly, I'm just freestyling. You know,
it's her.
I'm actually
your natural situation.
I'm naturally just excited. First of all, to talk to both of you guys, and honestly, like, I'm excited about the show. The finale was amazing. It's so good to have you 2 together, especially Raamla. I don't know if you saw the last show from last week, but Kandi told us how you guys had a chance meeting. At the airport.
On the plane. Yeah, on the plane, which is great. Yeah, I was like, I think that's Kandi Burruss. And it's so funny because my friend, Lena created The Chi, and I had been watching The Chi, and I was like, Kandi is really good on the show.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought, I was like, I was like, she's so good. So when we were talking about Eboni, I hadn't really thought about it. And I was like, I should ask her if she's still acting. And I even told her, like, we went to dinner, and I was like, I'm sorry if I'm asking you questions, because I don't like watch the Housewives. Like, I literally know you from Escape and The Chi. I was like, that's what I know you from. And in some ways it probably was, better, because I was like, you know what I mean? And so, but I was like, I was like, I just feel like this there's a character who has, this kind of emotional backstory, and I want her to have an impact, and I want people to, to her to feel likable and people to connect with her. And I was like, and I feel like you could do it. Like, and then I was like, Kandi, even on set, like, Kandi came in. I just want to say to everyone, it was not scripted that Kandi cried in episode 9. Like, I don't know if it was not scripted that she cried. It was like, obviously it was like she got emotional, and Kandi just did it. And we all on set, we're like, she was crying. And after it was like, everyone was like, okay.
And I told her when we had the live show last time, I said, I've never seen this side of Kandi as an actress. She's a good actress. Yeah. But I had never seen her reach down in her purse and find those emotions. And so obviously she gave more than you all even asked her for.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this though. I mean, you guys gave me the opportunity by giving me Eboni. It's like I never had that type of role where I could show that side. So I'm grateful for that.
And we're grateful for both of you for this even happening. Raamla, this finale, ma'am, I just
hold the hands on the hips.
For me, it's just okay. I just don't understand. It's very seldom that I watch a show and I'm like, every episode is gonna get better. Every episode, even the finale leaves me wanting. Okay, now I'm looking forward to the next episode, to the next season, to see what the storyline is there. What was the direction? What was the theme that was there a theme that you chose for the finale? And did the finale exceed like what your expectations were, what your directions were?
Honestly, I for me, when I like every, like I always say to the writers, I'm like, every episode just should be better than the previous episode, right? Like, I feel like I'm such an avid TV watcher, and sometimes you watch episodes, and the first couple episodes are great, and then you're kind of like, you know, and then you kind of fall off and you forget about it, and then someone goes, just push through, and then it gets better, you know. So it's a challenge, right? So it is, and it's hard. It's hard to, you know, try to top yourself, and so to me that was just my challenge, right? Like, how can I make every episode better? And for me, I like to know the answers, right? Like, I wouldn't want to watch something and then find out that, like, oh, they're not even going to tell us who killed JT until season 3. You know, and you're like,
I've been asking that question every live, and didn't nobody want to tell me the tea.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's like, first of all, a lot of it was that, you know, early on, I knew it was going to be Natasha, and I know, like, people, you know, were like, oh, you know, thought it was going to be Natasha, but for me, I was like, well, who else would, like, Chanel take, you know, do all this for? You know, I felt like it would have to be, as a mother, it would have to be for her daughter. But to me, also, the interesting part was, part of how she kind of felt responsible is because she didn't call. Like, I think there was a part of her that, like, she knew what she was hiding, as well as that she really, I mean, who knows, he could have died anyway, but that she didn't really do anything. She just was like, you know, I'm just gonna let this ride. And you understand it, you get it, you know, you get it. And I think when you see it all lay out, and you see, because I think there are questions about, why did Chanel move this way, or why is she doing this, or she's so and you have to realize, like, she's just improvising. Like, this thing happens, and it's like, now Natasha, now he's dead, oh my goodness, you know, like, it just, it's just confusing for her. So that's why she says in episode 9, she's like, I feel like I just make rash decisions, that's why I'm here, you know. And so she's just trying to make up for the improvisation that she had in that moment. And how can you blame her? Like, she had to go from so many emotions, like, thinking this, you know, her husband about to kill her. Like, you know, you see, like, that's why I wanted, there was no music, I wanted it just to be raw, to really show, them.
I mean, the musical choice has been Chef's Kiss, and it still was this episode, but this episode, it was less of that, because I feel you just really wanted us to get the message.
Yeah. And similarly, like, you know, with the Eboni character too, like it was important that she told her story, you know, so that Chanel can see, like, oh, like, you know, she judged Eboni, right, for the way that she did things, and it's like, we're really not that different. The only difference is that, like, I got addicted to drugs, and, you know, and so he used that against me to act like, you know, I wasn't a good mother, and then he created a situation to not get me help, and to basically keep me down. And then that's the image that he portrayed to you. So I guess if you could say theme, I would say overall, just in the season, to me, the theme is really, like, empathy. You know, I think that all the characters had to have this empathy, and, you know, Jax being the main one, Jax empathy for Chanel, empathy for Lewis, empathy even for Tony. You know, you see Tony, and Chanel with Kandi, and Lucy with Chanel, and, you know, everyone is operating in not the best way because they don't have empathy. And so when, you know, Damon comes and tells her, like, you know, try to have grace, ask for empathy and patience and understanding. To me, that, I feel like, in general in life, if a lot of us moved this way and thought about it, you know, things would be better. So
you did speak about some of the challenges as well, and I wanted to go back to Kandi. I didn't ask you this last time, but what was the most challenging part of portraying Eboni's story for you?
I think just the most challenging part, you know, is just trying to make sure, like, okay, when it was time to show her going backwards in life and falling back into the drugs and alcohol part of that, I was like, okay, you know, I know people who have been in that situation, but I've never seen that. Like, what does that look like, you know? So for me, I was like, okay, I want to, you know, portray her in a real way, you know, and where somebody who's actually been through that won't look and say, oh, that's fake. Oh, she would never, I would have never, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, how do I show her following backwards, you know, when they find her in the car, and you know, that moment.
Yeah, that was definitely a moment that touched me just watching it too. it just touched me as a viewer because it's like, wow, she never really got to have her moment in court, you know? So that kind of touched me too. But I mean, so many parts of this show are so touching. And speaking about touching, you know what? We have another guest coming in. You know what? We have actually multiple more guests coming in. And what I'm going to let them do is, you know what? I'm going to let them surprise us. Surprise guests, make your presence known.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh.
Okay. Not both of y'all making an appearance like that. How y'all doing?
Always. We're tied at the hip.
Listen, this episode, we saw a couple things just tied up. We have somebody making it into a certain. Do you want to make the announcement for the class?
Oh, did Krystal pass the LSAT?
She sure did.
Did she pass the LSAT? Did she score in the 90s? She's smart.
How you doing?
She's smart. She's smart.
What does this mean for her role going forward? Because we're already speaking season 3 into existence.
Jessie, that is such an interesting question. And I think that I have my thoughts about it, but you have the right person and the right person's ear to ask those questions to. So I feel like you should, do some digging again to be like, hey, Raamla, is Krystal in the is Krystal?
I see what you did there.
You feel me, Jessie?
I see what you did there. I see what you did. Well,
I love it.
How Raamla is.
I love it.
Raamla is not going to school, no teacher.
No tea. Y'all, like that. I tell the cast, I laugh because I'm like, y'all know, like I worked on Scandal. Like we couldn't say any. Like I was like trained. Like it's like no spoilers, nothing. Like you had your sides. Like it was like they're watermarked. Like everything was so. And in some way, like it was like, and so what happens is that like it's great because people get to watch and like find out. Yes. I will say the only time I have told a character, or I should say an actor, about their trajectory is with Tony, actually with Tristan. I did tell her, kind of how the season was going to end. And that was because she was pregnant in real life. And so I needed her to be okay with this storyline because she was the exact amount of months that the character was. And I was like, oh no, especially knowing the ending and stuff like that. So, I had her talk to, like we had a mental health person. Like I just wanted to protect, we made sure she was taken care of. The production was very, make sure she had what she needed. We wrapped her out, so she, because she couldn't fly after a certain amount of time. So that's the only time. And we had a conversation and I was like, look, you tell me you're not good with this and I will come up with something else. Because for me, I'm like, I have not had a child. I would not like want someone to play that and what that would mean, and so that's the only time because I always feel like, or like if, Michael Ealy season 1, obviously I was like, so this is what happens to you at the end. Like, I don't want that surprise. It's not going to be like you show up to a table read and read a script and you're like, oh, wait, what?
Right. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So I say this to say, Angela, I'm not going to tell you.
Lord, well, Tim, I was going to ask you the same question, but never mind. So Tim, what was the most memorable scene that you got to film with the cast this season?
That I got to film? I took a lot of personal joy in being outside of the office with Krystal. Because I know all of y'all have been keeping us for a long time, but I think it was clarified in that scene that Krystal is married. I don't know if she's happily married. Hey, this is reasonable doubt, so anything. But I did. I think Angela and I texted each other when I first got that script and said, we get to go out in the world. So there is a joy to us getting, Raamla letting us out of the hamster cage.
Observation, exactly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love these two dynamic too. Y'all just make a good old dynamic duo. So I cannot wait to see what happens in season 3 between you two. Speaking of season 3, this next surprise guest, it looks like she's gonna have a lot going on. You know, I'm gonna let her surprise us because we got some questions for her. Show yourself.
Oh.
I think a part of me and somebody else. There she is.
Yes. Listen, Jax's besties are here. Okay, please let us know what was the most shocking part of both of you guys' roles this season. I feel like we got to know both of you better. There was a veil that was lifted. So let us know both. Like, what was the most shocking twist or turns of events for both of you guys' characters?
I'll say I remember when we were in the restaurant, it was just Jax, Sally, and Autumn. And I think, I'm assuming Raamla already knew this, but they put the wine glasses out, but they didn't put a wine glass in front of mine. And I said to them, guys, am I not drinking because I'm pregnant or something? Like me, the actor Tiffany, I had no clue. And then here came the next script. And then here came the journey about IVF. And like Raamla noted, like she keeps things close to the chest. So it was really fun to explore and also honor the world of our IVF mamas and what they go through. So that was a little twisty turn for Autumn, who's generally like so supportive of everybody, and for her to have a moment of not being able to be the strong one.
Yeah, and I think Tiffany, you and I had a conversation after the script came out too, just about some of just the language and some of stuff like that. And that was so super helpful, you know, because you like, you know, sometimes you are writing these scripts and, you know, you're making changes and, you know, whatever. And then, you know, it is nice when someone's like, okay, well, I think actually like, I know like this a little bit would be more of what they would say or whatever it is. And also Carrie had called me too, talking about some of the stuff that she, you know, heard from some of her friends. And so I welcome that because I want to be as authentic as possible, whether it's whatever storyline it is. I mean, even like, you know, like we were talking about the Eboni storyline and that like just about, you know, what addiction looks like and, you know, like how many, like what it would be and what being specific about how she got into it, you know, and all these things. So, and the Krystal, like, I mean, I think with everyone, it's always like you're thinking about like what is, if they had their own show, what would the story of their own show be, basically, that character.
And I have to say, sometimes it's rare where we don't get that. Where I sent Raamla an email asking questions, and she was like, "Let's work on this right now." And like,
wow.
Yeah, that's the sort of person that's leading us, which is such a blessing to have that sort of open communication.
That's so amazing, and to be hands-on like that in the moment.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny because I didn't realize people don't expect this. So I had called Jonathan, who plays Chris. And like I was like, oh hey Jonathan, it's, you know, it's Raamla, and I know I just said, hey Jonathan, it's Raamla. I was calling him, and we hadn't met season 1 because when he filmed his scene, I was sick and I wasn't on set, and so I was like, hey, it's Raamla, and I just want to kind of, I don't know if you have questions about this season, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, wait, I'm sorry, who is this? And I was like, oh, Raamla, like the showrunner, and he's like, wait, you're calling me? He's like, I'm a co-star. He's like, I've never had a call from the showrunner who's talking about my character. And I was like, well, I mean, you have, you know, like you have enough going on. I want to kind of walk you through it. And I knew there was going to be an intimate scene, you know, later. So I would ask if he's comfortable with that. Nefertari and I talked about that too, you know. And so, so for me, I do, like, I'm like, you guys are the ones who have to, you know, do the work. And I want, you know, people to understand as much as possible.
Well, what about you, Nefertari?
I think
you know, the people was on your, I can't even say it. The people was on your tailbone. Okay? now, aren't you happy that the tides turned? I said, is Raamla gonna just let the streets think that?
They was on me. They was on me. You stupid. You stupid. House up. you went against that good man, Savannah. I was like, yo, it's okay. But I think the ending, the last scene for Chris and Sally for me was like, oh man. So God willing, we get another season, we get to explore that. So I'm looking forward to that.
We talked a lot about that in the writers' room. I had a meeting and I came back to the writers' room and they were like, oh, we actually think, what if he says uncouple and she says reconcile? And I was like, what? Like, I was like, why did you do that? But I realized I was like, it was the right way to go. But like, I was devastated because I was invested, like, in the characters. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess what we're gonna do, but I'm like, seeing the journey, it does make sense. That's kind of where Chris was, sadly.
I would like to say that though, just so people for context, we didn't know the ending until we got to our last table read. So Raamla wouldn't tell us anything. So we were taking bets on set as to who did it. And in the beginning, I was like, I think it's Natasha. I think it's Natasha. But then at a certain point, I was like, did I do it? I don't know. Did I do this? So that's a testament to the writing and the twists and the turns that you take us on. It was great. It was great. It was great.
It's fun. It's a fun set. I'll say that for sure.
Yeah. I get every Thursday morning a text message thread from friends who have commentary, and there's a lot of commentary about Sally. And oh gosh, I'm saying Jonah. What's the character's name?
Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Here we go, Chris. And the biggest one, they were like, Chris is staying big mad. I need him to not be so mad. It's over and he's mad.
Yeah. He's mad. I mean, but here's the thing. This was talk about arcs for me. I always felt like Chris was justified to a point, because honestly, like, silent treatment and not really having conversation is a slight form of abuse, right? Like,
that's
like
narcissism.
Yeah, exactly. Like his complete shutout of Sally, and still being in the house and punishing her, right? Like there is so toward the end, you kind of see he's like, oh, unfortunately, but yes, whatever. Oh, hi, Jessie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Technical difficulties. Not on finale night. Hold on. Wait a minute.
You know what, Jessie? This is what happens when you booked and busy. You know what I mean? Keep it together. I get it.
But go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Oh no. I just was saying like that Chris, at some point for me, I felt like I was like, oh, I feel you, Chris. Like she went behind your back, blah, blah, blah. But at some point he completely disengages and it's just silent treatment. And he's not even willing to really have a conversation. And really that storyline is about a lot of times what happens when couples don't go through anything, like things are kind of smooth. Like you hear they went to couples therapy in the beginning and it helped them. And they've been on a pretty smooth track. And what happens is that sometimes then something big happens and they don't know how to get through it. And sometimes you don't know how the other person is going to be. Like you don't know how they act when bad things happen. And so for me, this was that kind of relationship where juxtaposed with Jax and Lewis, who go through a lot of things. It seems, like they're learning how to do that, and they have faith that they've gone through worse and they can get through this. But I think Chris and Sally don't have that basis of faith with them.
There was a scene where Nefertari's character with her husband, I think it was last episode, where they have this amazing opening scene, love making, and then he just goes blank. What type of diabolical? Like, how do you even recover from that? I mean, we're speaking that into season 3 that y'all are gonna recover. We saw you guys getting your Iyanla Vanzant on. Y'all was down to the couch getting y'all therapy. Okay, but that was so real because that happens in so many marriages.
Right.
And then when I look at everybody who's in this finale wrap right now, so many stories, like you were saying earlier, Eboni's character with DV, but also addiction. You have people graduating with from the LSAT. You got broken marriages, side babies who don't make it through. Then you have, DV and in the courtroom, and you have so many layers of the DV. I guess for me, my final question is, how do you even imagine all these characters going through all of these things at once? And how is it for all of you guys who are watching, how is it seeing it all be played back and being like, wow, I was a part of this amazing show for season 2 that's going to get a season 3?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who wants to say. I mean, I
want to hear from all of you.
I'll just say briefly, I think it's what happens when there's multiple seasons of a show, like, is that the writing, you get inspired just by life in the writer's room and conversations with the writing, and then the cast comes in, and then the cast starts to inspire you because of their talent and their chemistry. From day one, we call them the Ladera ladies, like the friends, they just naturally just hit it off. And so that chemistry was just amazing to get to write for. And then the next part was Jax with, Krystal and Daniel, and seeing like Tim, their comedic timing with each other and their chemistry. So then now you're like, ooh, exciting. Like they can do this, they can do that. And so, it's for me, like that is what's exciting, because then it becomes like this kind of almost like a tennis match where you're like throwing it back and forth to each other, and the writing's getting better because the actors are great, and the actors are great because the writing's getting better. So that's kind of how I think of it.
I think for me, this season, as opposed to like our first season, like what was so exciting for me is that normally I do a lot of comedy. So first season, I got to be funny. I got to have like the drunk moment, the flashback, and all of that. This season, I told Raamla, I was like a rubber band. I was like, she stretched me, and I really had to go to, I had to go into these like places to make Sally this real character. It's like, I know this woman, I understand what she's feeling. And to really convey that, I felt like that was, it was tough, but it was, it helped me as a person to go and work through those, emotional, that emotion of this season. So this season helped me as a person, and I'm also on the show, but I'm also a fan of the show, because there's a lot of things that we don't like, the scenes that you're not in, when you see them play out and what actually made it, I'm like, oh my goodness, no, she didn't. So it was phenomenal. I had a great time. I had a great time with everybody. So
that's so awesome.
I guess I would say for me, it was super exciting to be a part of the show. Obviously, it's already so many people who are fans of the show, but then I'm a fan of the people on the show myself. So it was almost, not even almost, it was intimidating for me at first when I first, start coming into this, and I was, how you kind of are watching the people in the scenes with you, and when you're on the outside of yourself and you thinking like, oh my God, they're so good. I hope I'm matching their greatness. You know what I mean? So I feel like it helped me to kind of tighten up and, take myself up a notch. But at the same time, I'm a fan of the cast and the writing, obviously. And I'm just happy to be a part of.
Oh, yes. And we're so grateful to have you. All of you. Yes.
As you guys know, I also direct. And so something I learned with my last project was like, I just needed more actors to like give something in between the lines. And so in this season, I was like, let Autumn give everything in between the lines. And especially for episode 210, I was like, yeah, it worked. Because if you guys go and watch, it's like, I feel as if Autumn is given the reaction that like literally the audience is watching, of like, oh my gosh, WTF is going on. The heartbreak that happens, the joy that happens. You see Autumn go through all of that. So it was really fun to play with that. And just like everybody else has said, I'm such a fan of everybody's work. Like I was sitting watching one of the episodes with Tim, and I was like, Tim, did they have a British accent in there? He was like, no. I was like, no.
Yes.
No, he that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, these things that aren't scripted, that's what's great. And like, so if either I'm on set or I'm watching the footage and I'm just like, this is incredible. I was like, and then even the end of the scene, you know, Tim, where you're like, smiley shocked emoji face. And I'm just laughing. But yeah, it's yeah. And Tutu, when you like wave to Mavis, like when she leaves, and you're like, bye, you know, like these little things, like you were saying, it is, you know, you're adding to what the audience is feeling too, which is great.
I love it.
I mean, I suppose as a viewer, I mean, Raamla, you mentioned this a while ago that empathy was a guiding force in the show. And what really struck me this season was that there's really no bad guys and there's no enemies. If anyone, everyone can be their own worst enemy, because there are moments that you will hate Tony, and the internet, Twitter hates Tony, but there are moments and scenes and interactions where my heart poured out for Tony. And there are things that Lewis, you know, rightfully got put on an island for, but there are so many times that he filled me with so much. Like I thought McKinley gave the strongest comedic performance of the entire season, and the levity that he brought in the circumstances that he was in. Also, just the complexity that you give to each character. Was so appreciated, because it just, everybody, you have us following Jax that we love. She's our hero, but every episode she does something that makes her feel unlovable and makes us want to not love her. But the way you weave the story and the relationships, it always comes back to everyone either getting in their own way or being. You're showing that everyone is deserving of love and being a story. So that's what I really love about the show. And like you said, the way you approach characters, that everyone could be their own main character. Like you give someone like Neff an opportunity to be dramatic, and she comes out of the gate like Otani, just hitting these grand slams in every single dramatic scene. And so I think that's also what I just love to see in this show, is that you've developed a world with so many rich characters, and you give everyone a shot, and everyone's just blowing me away every episode.
Well said.
Yes, thank you.
Well said.
Can I piggyback on that? I just think that like one of the joys of being a part of this is the healing that happens. I think for viewers, which I'm like really struck by. I think it's like genuine healing and opportunity to discuss as you move toward healing in issues. And like, I remember like I was there the day that Kandi shot that scene in 209. And I just remember personally being like, what am I watching? And I didn't know what personally got her to that moment, but I saw a breakthrough in that character that I was just like, this openness, this vulnerability is healing. It might be healing some wounds from this actor, but it is going to heal some wounds for other people. And to be able to be a part of that, to be able to watch Black people going to therapy and us having conversations about it, like that feels like something to be really proud of. So I'm proud to be a part of a show that is pushing conversations that I think that we should be having and moving toward healing for a lot of people.
Wow. Honestly, that was so well said. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm so happy to have spent this time with all of you. Thank you so much for just taking a couple minutes to just chill with us and let us know your thoughts on this finale, on this show. It has been such an amazing ride, season 2 of Reasonable Doubt. Raamla, you are amazing.
Thank you.
Are amazing. There is no reasonable doubt about that. Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you, man. I mean, there's so much more of the cast that, we're not being able to see today. But man, we are so blessed to have been able to see the show as viewers. And I feel blessed to have been able to chill with you guys every single week on this after show. Thank you so
Well,
much.
can I just say something though
Yeah.
to you, Jessie, because the enthusiasm and the excitement and the professionalism, like all that you brought, like to do this for like 9 weeks is just so amazing to watch. Like you're so tuned in to like the audience, and because you're a fan yourself, and so
Yeah.
it's authentic the way you come and like talk to every actor and the questions you have there. It's so refreshing to see you work, and I feel like I feel like it's like kismet that like the last last live we have, you're in a trailer, because I'm like, you gotta work, girl. You know what I mean? That's amazing. I love it. So I'm rooting for you in your own journey. And yeah.
That means a lot. Don't make me cry. That means a lot. That means
so
so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of you and y'all that are watching. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to Hulu. Thank you to Onyx Collective for giving us the opportunity to do this. And last but not least, I have two last guests. But before they come in, we're going to say ta-ta. See you later to the cast.
Oh, bye.
This is not the last time. This is the last time for season 2.
Yeah.
We're going to see them again. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, y'all, last but not least, I want to go ahead and introduce two very special guests to the stage. We have Intro to the Weekend Watch, and I'm not a lawyer, but joining us, come on in.
Hello.
I love both of your content so much. I mean, first of all, can you guys just let me know your thoughts on season 2 and how Raamla just wrapped everything up in this finale?
Wow. First off, I was loud and wrong all throughout the season. Okay. Just knew what I thought I knew, and I was like pointing to Sally the whole time. So it was amazing how she just, Raamla just created this road that you went down, and it was so many exits, and you're like, where am I going? What am I doing? And everything just you thinking is this way, you're thinking it's that way, and then it's a whole totally different way. So it was just amazing how everything, just really just came together. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I was in here screaming, first of all, but also like I was happy and mad that she tied everything up. Well, almost everything, but like she tied everything up. I'm like, okay, so now the baby is gone. But what about this? And then it's like, okay, and then she gets found guilty, but then the prosecutor, her ex is doing this, and I'm like, okay, but what about this? And everything was tied, and I was like, stop tying it. I don't want it tied.
And you know what? I'm gonna say something, and you know what? Should I say this? Maybe I shouldn't. Look, not my phone. Not my phone.
Is that your side?
Listen, not my phone saying don't say it, but I was like, okay. I ain't gonna say what I was gonna say, but I'm gonna say my sentiments, and I feel like y'all gonna know what I'm saying. I was like, okay. Louis is free. Louis, but then he ain't.
But then he ain't.
Yeah. I was like, okay, all right. A little, stuff off the shoulder and back and all that. But then it was like, oh no, not quite.
Yep.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel about just the social media following? Like, what do you guys see people saying, and what are your thoughts on just how engaged the audiences are with the show?
I loved being able to scroll and see people's comments, and it just appeared, Twitter, they love to just serve you stuff. And so seeing people that I'm like, I don't even know this account, but they're like, Sally did it. Y'all, Sally did it. And I'm over here like, yes, girl, yes, Sally did it. And then yesterday I'm like, Sally did it. like I really, the social media following, I feel like from the beginning up until last night. Like I feel like week to week it just continued to grow, and people continue to talk about how good it was getting every episode with the cliffhanger. Like it just, the word of mouth, I promise you, marketing is amazing, but word of mouth will get you every time, because people will be like, you gotta watch this show. And I enjoy seeing that kind of growth over time. And it was good. Every single week it got better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like one big group chat. You know, every time that I was doing like recaps and talking about it, and just it felt like we were just a whole bunch of cousins in a group chat talking about the neighbors, like, oh, did you see what they did today? You know, so it was just a lot of fun, and the engagement, like how deeply just invested everybody was into this. It just made the show so much more better to watch.
Yeah.
I feel like all three of us have this in common, is that like we do cover a lot of shows that we're watching and we're engaging. How do you guys feel? Like, do you guys feel that people like us, content creators, us creating this content and engaging with other viewers, do you feel that that's important for the success of a show such as Reasonable Doubt and us getting the third season?
Amen.
Absolutely. It's so many times that I've talked about a show and people are like, wait, that's not getting any promo. I didn't even hear about that. You know, so a lot of times we're using our platforms to put these shows on the map even higher than they are, because, you know, that we're not watching commercials anymore. You know, we're in this social media world. So it's up to us.
Commercial.
Yeah, it's up to us to put it out there. So, you know, and the more that we talk about it and the word gets spread, then we get that hopes for the additional seasons.
Yeah. I will just add to the thing, particularly about this show, is that there's so many entry points. There is the marriage and relationship love aspect. So a creator who covers relationships has an angle to introduce it to their audience. But then there also is the friendship, the girls, you know, that aspect. So there is an angle for a creator to introduce it. And then, of course, the weekend watch, she's telling you what to watch and how it's good. So that's an angle. And I cover legal stuff. And let me tell you what, I've been over here like, objection, that's speculation. And then when they say it in the show, I'm like, because I'm a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but I should be, obviously. I'm going to take the LSAT too. Okay. Like, it was like, the full like range this show offers and how many different entry points, and to the point that you're making, it allows creators even to like authentically introduce it to their audience in a way that, again, is authentic to them and to the people watching. So I am all in, and I think for creators, like it can be a perfect match.
I definitely agree. You guys, before I let you guys go, can you guys please let everybody know how to support you and follow you guys?
Want me to go? Go ahead. So I am Kim, better known as The Weekend Watch, and you put that all together. I'm on IG and TikTok, and I give you weekly lists. So you don't, I'm trying to be your TV guide, so you don't have to figure out what to watch. Like I say, you just go get your wine, drink, snack, popcorn, all that good stuff. Check out my list and hit play. But yeah, I'm The Weekend Watch on IG, TikTok. So yeah, definitely come and follow me.
Love it.
And I am, you see my big old sign back there. I'm not a lawyer, but because I really am not a lawyer, but I just tell you all the legal things. And you can find me, I'm not a lawyer, but all together on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And I cover all your latest legal stuff.
I love it. Well, thank you so much to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
And being a part of Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, the finale episode. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, y'all, thank you for you guys who have been watching for the last 9 weeks. It's been an honor to just be somewhat of an ambassador, you know, for this show. I have always been a big fan of this show. And I remember when the strike was happening and then Hollywood was kind of quiet for a minute. And I was like, where is Reasonable Doubt? Where is Reasonable Doubt? And I remember seeing the announcement for season 2. And then I'll never forget receiving the email to do Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. It's been such a joy to do this. And I just feel so blessed to have been able to speak to everybody from Emiyanti to Morris Chestnut to Raamla to Carrie. to Miss Pauletta, I mean, to everybody that I've spoken to from this cast, this is an amazing, amazing show. If you have not watched the finale yet, please watch it. And after you watch the finale, watch the whole 2 seasons again, because we need a season 3. All right. On that note, y'all, it's your sister, Jessie Woo. Thank you so much for joining me for the finale episode of Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Thank you to Hulu. Thank you to Onyx Collective for trusting me and giving me the opportunity to do this. And thank you to all of you for tuning in every week. And listen, you can rewatch these lives. They are all up on my channel. Go ahead and go back and watch the old interviews. They are all so lit. Share them with a friend. Share them with a family member, whoever. All right. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves and each other. See y'all next season.